Welcome back to another episode of WittyBantr. Your hosts Nabil and Daniel are here. Looks like we got some internet issues, so hopefully it doesn't disconnect on us here. I'll have to kind of keep an eye on this, but also, I noticed, is the chat still showing up? Let me test out. Okay, that still works. Okay. All right. So anyway, I just finished updating my GitHub here. Started applying for jobs. I got my spreadsheet going again. I think I've applied. Started Thursday and continued Friday. I think I did like 11. Submitted 11 applications, some to some staffing agencies and others directly to the company. And all these companies are like, I've never heard of them. They seem like, I guess all these kind of companies are starting up. I don't even know how to describe them. It's like internet-based software companies that, like Workday is a good example of like, they build like software tools for
HR
management of HR or anything. I mean, the tools you probably use or at your digital marketing company. I don't know what
I've only used it for at least at Yelp and at my current
Workday.
agency.
I'm saying, but like I'm saying
other Salesforce we use.
Yeah, Salesforce and
Tap or Dashboard.
Even the Convertly thing is kind of a software service kind of company. So those are the things I've been applying to. Just cleaned up my GitHub. First, the project I worked on, I kind of just threw it on there, and then my description was not very thorough. But I kind of because my app is broken up into 3 parts. It's 2 backend parts, which is one is authentication and one is the chat API. So the authentication is, as it may sound, everything to do with who you are, and security and authentication. And the second one is the actual functionality of post message, get all messages, that kind of stuff. So I chopped up the authentication one into like a template, a generic template where anybody could just download it and then spin up their own stack of exactly what I used, and then I'll work on the chat one next, and then the third one is the client, which is the actual interface that you see when you open up the website. That one I actually have to clean the actual source code up, as well as describe what it is and how it works.
Pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
At least you have like a solid, like, all right, this is what I've done. And
this is my portfolio so far.
Because, otherwise I guess it's harder for recruiters to know if you, have you had a software related job?
Nope, not professionally.
Okay.
And that's why I spend so much time on this stuff, because it's like, there's no fallback. There's no, literally, if I went into an interview, it would be like, well, I'm just going to guess on whether or not you know what you're doing. And I mean, you can talk about some stuff. Oh, that's actually a very important part is it gives me something to go off of when talking.
Right.
If someone asks me a question about it, I can refer to, I did this thing in my project. Whereas like the feeling when you get when you just get out of college and you're looking for a job and you didn't have any like internships or jobs,
right?
That there's that feeling of like you start making things up, kind of, and I don't like that.
Or you stretch.
Yeah, like you stretch a lot.
School projects and stuff.
Exactly.
Doesn't really relate, I guess.
Right. So I'm working on that. I downloaded Unity 3D again. I have downloaded before, but not on this computer that I'm using. Have you heard of
the graphics engine?
Yeah. So, but I stopped that to clean up my GitHub, because that's more important. Because that stuff is, I said there was 3 stacks of my app. The first two, authentication and the chat functionality, that could be used for any kind of app, an Android app, an iOS app. The third one is not really related to it because that's just for web browsers. Where was I going with this? So I downloaded it to kind of build out, since I have the chat functionality, I wanted to make, so in Unity, you can export your project into like Android, iOS. It has that functionality. So you make the program you want to make, and then you can build it into, you click build, and like it'll like, I guess, package it for an Android or an iOS or whatever you want to package.
So it basically does like front end work for you, or is like it's creating the interface of the app, or no?
No. So Unity 3D is for making games, but I wanted to use it because like I eventually want to make some sort of game or something, right?
Right.
As we've been talking about. But I wanted to, you know how like all games have, you can chat in the games?
Yeah.
So I wanted to at least start, since I have the chat functionality, at least start like use their engine to just do like a chat application. Like that would be basically like, if you only did it for a chat application, people, anybody could say like, why don't you just use like something else? You wouldn't use a graphics engine to make a chat application, but I'm doing that. I want to do that. So I have, just like in a game, you have the chat functionality, and then I can expand on it later, right? So you start with that base, and then you can go later. But so yeah, that's what I wanted to do. So I downloaded Unity. I didn't get too much into it because I was just like, this isn't the job I'm gonna get working with Unity. So I may as well I finished a project that would be related to my job, but I want to polish it up because it is kind of sloppy if anybody's looking into it for the first time.
Right.
So.
Well, that would be more for a personal use, right?
Yeah.
You're not intending to use this to get a job, although it might help.
Yeah. I mean, I guess theoretically I could in the future, but I'm not. People use Unity to like make games and design graphics and program graphics, and that's not what I'm planning on.
Trying to do.
So yeah, that's.
So just waiting for the rejections to come in.
Yeah. Funny enough, most of them are going to be just no response, and then most after that is going to be rejections. And then there'll be a few interviews. So,
would you be willing to take like an internship? Like, are you trying to like say, okay, these are the ideal places, let me apply there, like, and then let me
like unpaid,
like anything. Like, what's the lowest bar where you're like, all right, I'll just take it?
No, I will pretty much take anything. I mean, you have to pay me. I'm not gonna do. I probably won't do free stuff. I mean, it would have to be some like, well, this will be a really good experience. But yeah, I have no. I'm an entry level. It's like starting from the beginning, basically. Right. So I'm like, I'll start from the bottom. Yeah, and then as I'm searching, it's kind of hard because like, so I kind of see two categories when I'm looking at software jobs. There's your traditional jobs where it's like, you need to have 5 years of like C++ experience, or they focus like on the language, and then they're very specified. So it's like back-end engineer or even like front-end engineer. So there's very specific ones that seem kind of traditional roles, and a lot of those, like the experience required is always like a lot, like 5+ years. And then I see this other group, which is they're just called full stack engineers, which you may have heard of. And that is, I mean, I am essentially a full stack engineer with the app I made, where you don't just handle one front end or back end. You have to handle the whole thing, and you usually use cloud services to do that. So I think those are the titles I'll be searching for. I'll probably search for full stack engineer. There still are entry level things, and those are the entry level ones. Are some of them are staffing agencies, so they don't really have a description about what they want. But the other entry level ones, yeah, I guess they do. But so I'll probably go for full stack engineers. And man, their salaries are not bad.
Yeah, probably.
It's like, I mean, I was seeing 130 to 160 on some of them, maybe for more experience. But so that could definitely fund my future projects. That's for sure.
Yeah, or even like I'm sure there's like contract jobs as well that pay a lot as well.
That's true. I didn't see any salaries, but yeah, because I guess they don't disclose them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I guess I'll be kind of looking for the full stack engineer jobs. And yeah. And
guess I can go into my
Yeah.
new journey because
Yeah.
I'm going the opposite direction.
All right, yeah. You're seeing
So-
me in, I'm seeing you out.
It's just like a tag team. Like, all right, you're in.
My turn.
I've officially put in my 2 weeks at my digital marketing agency. What I want to do is start my own like online coffee shop.
We've been
reach
generally
out
discussing about some of that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Just coffee stuff, but we
Yeah.
didn't. But go ahead.
Did I already talk about? Well, I guess I'll just talk about it anyway. I reached out to a local roaster in Redwood City, and basically said he's like willing to teach me like how to roast as well as
cool.
sell me the coffee. Yeah, which I thought was super cool because like
Does he work
I
in
said-
does he have his own store or what is
yeah,
it?
so he has a coffee shop. Actually, we should have went this weekend in downtown Redwood City where they actually sell just coffee and pastries.
Okay.
But he also roasts, and he just upgraded his roaster to a bigger one. But yeah, we kept saying like wholesale. He's like, oh, don't call it wholesale. I like to, yeah, I know. I was kind of laughing at that. He wants it to be more of like a partnership where he's like helping me, like
Okay.
the roast and all that.
Fair
I guess
enough.
fair enough. Yeah, it's like I benefit more, I guess, from that.
Call what you want, I guess. I
But
mean,
also he liked that I had like digital marketing experience because he doesn't.
so you
do
just
any
like
online
out of the
advertising?
blue, like reached out to him
Yeah,
via
yeah.
what, email?
I went on his website and yeah, I emailed him directly, and then I set up a phone call and talked to him for like 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I think, I mean, part of it is he might like that. Well, one, he doesn't see it as like competition because one, I'm selling his goods, and I don't know, he kind of feels that there's not like everyone's selling coffee, so it's not like, you know, oh, I'm holding secrets or whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, for me, I was thinking more of like, okay, well, I'm 26 now. At some point, I'll want to have, you know, family, kids, all that. And I have a very high feeling that it'll be a lot harder to do it then. Plus, I saved up a good amount of money before I quit. So I want to give it a try. I mean, I've always wanted to start my own business, but I want to like, all right, just focus on it for a good year. And then if it doesn't work out, all right, I'll go back to the...
Yeah, well, this would be the time to do that, as you've suggested.
Yeah. And also, like, it's not like I'm not doing like, what I'm doing is still within my field, right? I'm still advertising the coffee online, and the shop is online.
Yeah.
And if anything, I'll get a lot more experience with, like, revenue tracking. So most of my campaigns that I ran were lead gen, which are, like, form fills and stuff. But in an e-commerce campaign, you want to make sure you're tracking, like, okay, how much have I sold through my advertisements, which
Right.
I'd be interested in kind of learning more about. So yeah, I think my goal is try to become profitable in a year. So if I'm breaking even for a year and then I see myself, you know, I feel like I wouldn't just break even for a year, just because the entry level into what I'm doing is very low. What do they call it? Like when
The costs are low.
Yeah, the entry costs are low
The cost of
because
entry.
where I'm storing it will be in the box hopefully.
So you're saying you're confident that you will probably be profitable, if
Yeah,
anything.
not by like a lot, but I mean,
Yeah.
maybe like 20,000 a year.
So the
I think
investment
that's-
is low.
Yeah, because the investment is low, I feel like I could get 10 to 20,000, but
Whoa.
uh,
I mean, that would be pretty significant if you were able to do that.
if I was able to do that, yeah. Yeah, I'll see.
Interesting.
I mean, if I don't, again, I'm not like too worried about it because I could pivot
Right.
with what I learned. But I was thinking like, I mean, there's really 3 possible scenarios. One, I don't get anything and, I just gain experience for a year.
Mm-hmm.
2, I have it profitable enough to where I could have it as like a side business or continue going on with it if I really enjoy it. And then 3 would be like, "Woo, I made it!"
Yeah.
But I doubt that'll happen. But we'll see. I'll use all the skills I've learned and see how I can improve and I guess learn.
Yeah.
But what I am interested in, since you've been doing it for a year, is living frugally.
Ah, yes.
What do you think the minimum requirements, or I guess it really depends on, what you're spending it on, but did you have like a written budget when you quit it all, or was it
No.
kind of like, all right,
Well,
I know generally how much I'm going to spend? And,
Yeah. Well, when I was working, living expenses were about $1,300 before rent. So not including rent.
Okay.
There's like food and I don't know, whatever else. But then the only reason that's high because I have a car loan and a student loan that I'm paying off, which is together $800. So
Okay.
so now my expenses are not even $1,300. It's more like $1,000. So $800 for those loans
Okay.
a month, and then I think about $200 for food. So first of all, so it's really the only expense I have is food. I have health insurance from Medi-Cal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go anywhere. I don't even eat out anymore. That cost has been cut.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's literally
That's significant.
I don't spend on gas. I don't drive anywhere. So it's literally just
So without the like
food.
debts, you're literally just paying for food. Like
Yeah.
that's like what, $200 or 100?
So I haven't actually calculated it,
Okay.
but and especially recently because ever since I started doing these 3 meals that I eat every day, let's see if I can think of a way to crunch these numbers. Well, let's start with breakfast. So a loaf of bread is about $5. It's cracked wheat sourdough bread.
That'll last you like a week. So this is all of that
Yes.
will last like
I eat
weekly.
2
basis.
pieces of bread a day. One bread is for breakfast. That's the toast with my egg.
Okay.
And one bread is for my last. I put peanut butter on it. It's also toast, and that's a right after my dinner.
Okay.
So yeah, let's say that lasts me a week. So 5 times 4 is 20.
Mm-hmm.
So $20 on bread. I'll keep my 2 fingers up
Okay.
for 20.
Lunch and dinner.
Wait, I'm not done with breakfast.
Oh.
The eggs. I have 3 eggs scrambled
Hmm.
every day. You can get a pack of 60 eggs for $12. So what's 60 divided by 3? 20, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 20 days. So
Divide that by.
no, just
Oh.
add half of 12 is 6. 6 plus 12, $18 a month.
Okay.
Because one pack will get me 2/3 of the way there.
Dang, that's a lot. All right, that's like not a lot.
Yeah, so 18. So I'm gonna just say 20. I'll make it 4. So now we're at 40.
Mm-hmm.
So that's breakfast. Oil in the breakfast. There is 1 tablespoon of olive oil, canola oil, whatever oil is there. If we want to break this down, do you know how much? I haven't bought
Oil.
oil in a while. Do you know how much one big thing would cost? Because then I could divide
$15, I would say. But like
15
for that big
yeah, the big one. Okay,
Costco.
15, and each one probably has
How many teaspoons?
tablespoons. Yeah.
I
Should we
feel
just
like you could
say insignificant?
Yeah, insignificant.
Okay, insignificant. We'll stay at 40. It would probably be like 20 cents,
Yeah.
20 to 50 cents a meal.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's move to lunch. And there's no snacks involved either,
Okay.
at least in the one I'm doing. Lunch. Oh, it's a bowl of rice and steamed vegetables with a bunch of seasonings on top.
Okay.
Again, seasonings I will leave out for now. Maybe we can add an extra at the end for the oil and the seasoning. The things that last a very long time.
Right.
So the seasonings are salt, pepper, paprika, cayenne, garlic, and turmeric. So I put the rice, and then I get frozen veggies. And the frozen veggies I picked are big 3-pound bags of carrots, broccoli, cauliflower. Put the vegetables and the rice in a pot. Fill the pot with water, boil for 20 minutes. The rice, again, it's one of those long-term things. The vegetables.
Dude, rice is like
cheap.
It's very cheap. Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, so ignore the rice, then let's go to the vegetables. The vegetables can be kind of expensive. It's like...
Frozen?
Yeah,
Oh.
well, I mean, I feel they're expensive. $5 for a 3-pound bag, and I get 3 of those.
Okay, and how long will
One 3-pound bag will last me a little more than a week, but let's just call it a week.
Okay.
So it's $5 per week. 5 times 4 is another 20
Okay.
for vegetables. So now we're at 60. Again, the rice will add later. I also add some of a tablespoon of soy sauce. I don't put salt in it anymore. I started adding a tablespoon of soy sauce and a tablespoon of oil. But again, we'll add that later.
Mm-hmm.
The last meal is oatmeal. Shoot, now how much is oatmeal? That's pretty cheap too. I'm going to say for that big tall thing that I have is $5. And that can last me, I want to say like 2 to 3 weeks, but let's just call it it's like 2 to 4 weeks. I don't know what we want to call it. 2 weeks or 1 month for that. You know what I'm talking about in there? It's the little Quaker Oats.
Oh, yeah.
That tall thing. You want to just call it 2 weeks? That whole thing lasts you 2 weeks? I think it could last you a little longer, but let's call it 2 weeks. So that's $10 for the month. So
Okay.
70. We're at 70 now. I put a spoon of agave, and some cinnamon. The cinnamon can be expensive. That's like $10. That could probably last you like 2 months because it's a small thing. It's a small thing, and it's true cinnamon, Ceylon cinnamon or whatever, as opposed to the other one, which is half as dangerous to your liver as the not true one. So take that for what you will. What did I say? $10 for that thing. That thing could last you probably 2 months. So I'm going to say... Well, let's leave... Because that's a specialty thing for me.
Yeah.
Because you could just get the normal cinnamon and it'll be cheaper.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that. That's a seasoning anyway.
Yeah.
So I have the oatmeal, and then the agave, again, seasoning, you can add that. We'll add that to the tail end. So $70. Let's say, am I missing anything? And I have the peanut butter. That kind of goes. That's another.
That's like
3 to 5.
Yeah. Let's say 5.
Let's say 5 for the good stuff. And that can last you like a month.
Really? Oh, for the big one?
The one I have in the fridge.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a month. I don't think it goes in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Trying to think. Yeah, I'm gonna call it a month. So $5 for that.
$75.
So 75, and then add another $5 for the seasonings and stuff.
And rice and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
80
$80,
bucks
and that's calorie wise, that's about 1,800 calories.
Okay.
So if you wanted to increase it, you could, but so that's $80 is the
60 every 2
for decent variety. I mean, you're talking about eggs and toast, steamed rice and veggies, oatmeal. Oh shoot, I forgot the fruit. In the oatmeal, there's frozen mangoes and blueberries.
Okay.
That I forget the pounds that I get. I think it's like a pound or two.
Mm-hmm.
I think I spent $10 on the big thing of blueberries. The fruits can be kind of expensive, frozen fruits. So I want to say, let's just say, does it last me a month or 2 weeks? I think it's 2 weeks. I think I spend $40 a month on
Blueberries?
the blueberries and the mangoes.
Okay.
So let's kick it up to 120.
Okay.
So 120 for
120, that's per week?
a month.
Oh, a month.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Damn, I was doing the math way wrong.
Yeah, 120 a month.
Wow, that's really low.
Yeah. So, and you can, if you really want to cut it lower, you could. The only thing is, like, and we're talking, we could go straight to chickpeas every meal. I did that in New Jersey.
What about beans and rice? That's what you always hear.
You could do that and cut that way down, because there's fruits are consider that a luxury in this scenario. So
okay.
So yeah, 120. You could do it and get decent variety in your meals and not get bored of them.
Right.
If you do eggs and toast, steamed rice and veg, and oatmeal with
that'll
fruit.
definitely last me. Oh
yeah.
So and then
so there's that.
So
food.
Food is 120. Insurance,
I don't pay car insurance. Munam does at this moment until I get a job.
Okay.
Then I will take it over. Health insurance, Medi-Cal is free for.
How long was that process? Did you apply for that?
Yeah, I actually reapplied. It's you go to coveredcalifornia.com or something.
Okay.
And then you just fill in your information, and they ask you for proof of income. And if you don't have a job, the first time I did it, I gave them my W-2 form, which showed my income of last year, and then I just said I left my work on this date, and I know since then I've been unemployed.
Right.
And this time around, there's a special thing called something attestation of consent or something, and it's literally a form, and then you just say I left my job and I'm unemployed currently or since this date. Then you submit that or sign it, scan it, and then submit it, and then they'll get back to you in the portal, or they'll send you an email or something.
Okay.
And then they'll say, like, either you have been approved or you have been denied. Or we need more information.
Okay.
And then they'll send it to you in the mail. And then the only thing you have to remember is when you do get a job again, or you get any other type of insurance, you have to inform them within 10 days of the change and just tell them to stop.
Okay.
So that's that. Let's see. Any other
expenses?
Yeah, I mean, if you're living at home, there's no rent, there's no electricity or water.
I guess most of my expenses will probably be business related, and I'll have to figure that out. But as far as like living, it's just food and then insurance.
And then, I mean, if you want to add eating out, you can. So the 120 is without eating out. The eating out.
Yeah, I guess let's say 200 with eating out.
Yeah. Well, how often would you eat out? Once a week? 2 times a week? In New Jersey, I used to do it Friday and Saturday and Sunday.
I'll say once a week.
Once a week. So say call it $15. I mean, I know you.
Yeah.
Because if you go to Habit, if you get a milkshake too, you can get up there. It's 10 to 15, but let's just say worst case every time.
Right.
So 15 times 4 is I can't do math. 60.
60, yeah.
So yeah,
60
so then
plus,
200. That would be 180.
Yeah, that'd be
So 200 would be a fine thing for
Okay.
once a week. But as you can see, that would add up if you kept eating out.
Okay.
I mean, that's almost half the budget of 4 meals can be the budget of 15 meals
Right.
made at home.
Okay, that's not
Yeah.
as bad as I thought. I guess I also put into the fact of paying insurance out of pocket, but I think
The only thing you might want to add is, I mean, you get dental in Medi-Cal, but you can only go to like Western Dental, and I've never been to them, but they don't get good ratings online.
Oh, okay.
So
Maybe I'll just
prepare to
Michael out of
pay
pocket.
$150 for maybe once a year instead of 6 months, as you
Okay.
normally would for teeth cleaning.
That way, how much is that? 120?
Like it was like 150 last
Oh,
time I
150.
went.
Okay. And that was just for one cleaning?
That was just for one cleaning.
What do you say when they say, "Oh, when's your next appointment?" Because like usually they do every like.
Yeah. I think I just said I'll call them,
Oh, okay.
or maybe I did set it. I don't even remember.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so 200 a month. That's 2,400
And I
a
mean,
year.
there's stuff like
Yeah.
there's other miscellaneous stuff like toothpaste sometimes, or laundry detergent if you buy it.
Right.
So you can tack on maybe, I don't know. Oh yeah, also I didn't include any gas. So if you want to drive around,
right.
then you might want to add that.
Yeah.
So you could add, I don't know. I'd probably add another not 100.
50?
Like 20 a month.
What if I ride my Grom around? That's like
That's fuel efficient.
that'll be that's 120 miles to the gallon.
I mean, depends
And
how much you ride, even though it's fuel efficient. Depends
Yeah. That's
how
true.
much and how far you go.
From where I go.
But yeah, that would be
Okay.
pretty fuel efficient.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty solid plan.
We went offline for a little bit, so I don't know how.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, it was a while. It was like 10 minutes ago.
Okay. Well, it's recording anyway, so
Yeah.
if you want to see the full version of this
if it-
presentation.
Well, I'll check how the quality was, and if it's bad, I'll just upload the recorded copy
Yeah.
if the stream copy is bad. So yeah, we've been playing this game for a little bit. Lost a couple nights of sleep. I think I went to bed. I don't even remember. It was like I could hear you on the phone at one point. It's
Oh,
that
really?
way. It was probably like 10 a.m. or something.
Oh, man.
Teamfight tactics. It's essentially, I've heard people refer to as auto chess.
Mhm.
I don't know where that term comes from, but it's like a combination of. It's kind of like a virtual. It's kind of like Hearthstone in a sense,
Mhm.
except. So for those who don't know what Hearthstone is, it's like a virtual card game, kind of like a Pokemon was, or Magic the Gathering. I think that's a card game.
Mhm.
But it's based on the League of Legends lore and those characters and heroes in it, and it has the card game aspect, but you also have some positioning, which, I mean, you don't mess around with it too much, I don't think, just a little bit. But so you place your units on your board, and then you kind of let a battle play out and see who wins, and you just keep going through these battles, and every round you can level up or gain experience for, you pay gold.
And then certain characters have certain benefits, like if they're on the same field together.
There's different dynamics between all the classes of characters, and then it's like their classes match up with other classes, and then their origins match up with different origins. And then there's bonus effects when you match them together. I have not been able to win, unfortunately. I've tried and tried and tried. Closest I got to consistent. I consistently would come top 3 was with assassin, ninja, assassin. One was just ninja, assassin, void, and ninja, assassin, wild. So first of all, ninja is a good early game one because you get it with only one unit. So ninjas are characters like Zed or Kennen. Yeah. And if you get one right in the beginning, you can only have one. And as long as you only have one ninja, sorry, it's not even, as long as you only have one ninja, you get 40% extra damage on that guy. So it's good as a level 1. And then the next part of that is assassin, which if you have 3 assassins, they do 150% increased crit damage. And then 6 is like 350. So 6 is a long game thing, and you shouldn't really aim for it, but the 3 you should aim for. And then the third part is void. And actually, before the assassins, I go void. So it should be ninja, void, assassin.
Right.
Void is, there's 4 void characters. It's Rek'Sai, Kha'Zix, Kassadin, and Cho'Gath. If you have 3 of them, your whole team ignores 50% of the enemy's armor. So pair that with any attack damage people is good, but pair it with assassins and it's really good with their, because if you have 3 assassins and their crit damage is doing 150% increased damage,
right?
That on top of 50% reduced armor, it makes those big 1,000 damage crits in the game. So I would go with those builds. And then the other one was Ninja Wild Assassin. Wild is
increases attack speed to only wild characters. Then if you get the full combo, it's everyone.
Correct. So that's the one I would aim for. Is the full one.
And
so they have more attack speed. So your assassins are just really fast. That one I would say is just as good as the Void one, except the Void one takes less characters, so that might be preferred.
Yeah.
And those one, and Kha'Zix is an assassin and a Void, so that counts for both of those.
Oh.
So that's why the Void is you cover more ground with that.
Right.
So I would do that, and I would get top 3. It would be easy. It would be like I don't know, what do you want to call it? 80%. The first 80% of the whole game is like you're just dominating. Maybe you lose a couple, but for the most part, I'm dominating. And then it's like the tail end.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like this new opponent. Well, because how it works also is. Well, actually, no, I don't think that works.
We don't know.
I was gonna say I thought that the top guys, or it's like. Oh, the top guys fight the top guys, and the worst guys fight the worst guys, and then eventually you get this. As people are eliminated, it comes together. But anyway, so somehow it's like you go against a guy that it's like, where'd this guy come from?
Yeah,
it's like I've been beating everyone.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden this guy, I sometimes don't even pay attention to the name, so I probably should. And you can look at all the other people while they're fighting, so that's probably something I should be doing to check what builds they've done and if I can counter them. But, so they'll come and they'll just non-stop beat me. And it's like my assassins who are doing a ton of damage, they still do a ton of damage, but they can't survive long enough. Like this guy has these rock elementals with like a bunch of health, and it's like that thing takes so long to destroy. It's like my assassins just die, and I have a decent front end. Oh, that's the other thing. It's like, my front end just gets destroyed. Like I've been upgrading my assassins with all the items, and some of my front end, like one of my front end guys might have if I had a Warwick or a Cho'Gath, he would have 2 items in there, but the rest of the items would be on the assassins. And then the front end guys just die, and then the assassins just die too, and it's like. I don't know what I should have done. And then I don't know what I should have done differently. And there's no, the problem is there's no signs that you should be doing things differently, right? If you're
Unless
winning,
you're losing.
yeah, exactly. If you're winning in the first 80%, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to prepare for the future doom that I face.
Right. One thing I've realized is like, well, one, my build's usually the wild, what is it? And then bruisers, they get like increased
brawlers?
Or brawlers, yeah.
Brawlers is 2, they get 350 or 300 bonus health, and then 4 is like 700 or 750 or something.
Something like that. But yeah, I'll have like 2 builds like ready to go. Early game, I don't normally have like the build that I want. I'll usually just like have the characters I want and just keep throwing them on the sidebar, but then use whichever character is most upgraded. But like I'll always see like what it looks like it's leaning towards, and then just even if I have like a 2 upgraded guy, I'll sell him just so I can get someone else in there that would
like a 1-star guy.
Like no, someone who's like 2-star.
No, I'm saying you would sell a 2-star guy.
Oh, to get
a 1-star guy.
Yeah. If it like really helps with the build and getting the bonuses, like you were saying. But yeah, it's kind of hard because like you don't know who your next opponent is, and then once you get into the late game, it gets kind of hard because you're like, okay, like what do I save? Do I reroll or do I like?
Yeah, and then at that point, it's also kind of too late. It's harder to change, right? Unless you had like a ton of money.
Yeah.
But even if you had a ton of money, maybe that's the key. No, I don't know. But cause I did try Econ once, where it's like you're stockpiling your gold, where at some point you have like 50 gold. So I've seen Scar do that.
But theirs goes on for like
theirs is I don't know if they have access to some different version. Theirs has more than 9 levels. But so I did Econ, and like I have the power to like drastically change my comp in the middle of the game if I wanted to. But I mean I didn't win. So I don't know. Yeah, by the end it's like you're kind of stuck because it's like okay, this guy is beating me with this comp. The only thing you can do is like add on to your comp.
Yeah.
Because even if you sell everything, you only get to look at 5 cards. Well, you can rotate the batch, but I mean that would be. And then also the time limit. It's like you don't have that much time to do all that.
Like 15 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the key is probably. Yeah, it's probably like by.
I think it's just like focusing.
I think you have to look at your opponents.
Well, maybe.
Not in the early, but like.
I think maybe when you get to the higher level, yes. I guess it depends on how good the opponents are, but like, I feel like, more of the core is like, all right, building your team comp and knowing like if you should reroll or if you should sell a character that is good but like doesn't help your team composition,
because that's one aspect. But like if you build,
I think that's the main aspect, and then you get into like when you get to the high level stuff, it's like all right, how do I counter,
but here's the problem. If you aren't going to counter, if this guy made a team comp that definitely counters whatever team comp you're looking to build, you're just building into eventual failure. You're like you might be able to beat everyone else because it's strong. So I think by like definitely start with like, okay, I want to build this team comp out, and then mid game. And again, this probably takes time because it's hard to recognize just by looking at the characters what team comp they have.
Yeah.
But by middle game, you should be looking at. Is there a way to look at like who's been winning like within a game? Is there a way to know who's been winning the rounds recently? Because what you ideally want to do.
The top right thing, but that's.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. But like sometimes it's those low guys that come back. But yeah, you're right. It's the top guys too. But yeah, I guess you just have to look at the top guy and be like, what comp is he going? And how do I need to modify what I already have to handle that situation? Like, if he has all assassins and I have a bunch of rangers, I got to do something about that, right?
Yeah.
My Rangers are going to get messed up. Or position, or maybe it has to do with just positioning.
Or maybe items too. Like if you once you pick your characters in that little thingy, maybe focus more on items that would help you counter it versus buying or getting a character and selling it.
That's true too.
I
guess
there's
with
a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, that can only come though with you have to be familiar with all the items. Like those things you shouldn't have to think about. Once you're at the stage where it's like, oh, I just look at the map. I'm like, okay, he has this team comp, and then I look at it, what items I already have, and be like, okay, I definitely want another BF sword or a bow thing.
But also upgrading one guy definitely helps. Like
stacking on one guy. Yeah.
Like especially if they're a 5 gold person.
Yeah, I agree. Then they just go nuts.
Yeah, those are the best ones.
Yeah, especially with the assassins. Holy moly! When you could do the highest crits I got was like 1,000 or something, maybe 1,200 one time, which can one shot some low health guys. But then I said I retired, but ever since I heard that you've been winning, I might come out of retirement.
I've won 3 times.
I just need
triple C.
Yeah. I can top 3 it, but I wonder who came up at Riot, who came up with the idea, like, let's because
I feel like normally maybe the corporate behavior wouldn't, maybe they had a voting system, like maybe there was a bunch of teams that created game modes and then they had some voting. Or
I bet you they looked at the success of like Hearthstone and some of these other virtual card games, and they're like, how can we build on that?
Yeah, that's probably true.
And then somehow they came up with this idea.
It's in beta. Hopefully it doesn't go out.
Yeah. But I do like the fact that there's no micro involved.
Yeah.
So for those of us who have accepted our beta micro performance
moving.
Yeah, I'm never going to be a master at mechanics. At least I can focus on macro play.
Yeah.
Which is also the idea I want to implement in my future game, which is a game where if you're a macro guy and you only want to focus on macro stuff, you can do that.
Yeah. Choose your own destiny.
Yeah. If you want to focus on making Truck Simulator better and focus, 'cause some people just like to get details of like specific things in games.
Right.
If you want to help develop that, you can. Maybe stop playing Truck Simulator.
Yeah.
Well, I did.
Yeah, you did.
I got bored of it. And it's like, I just want to haul as fast as I can.
Yeah.
And accept some speeding tickets here and there. Because I don't know. It's cool. It's cool initially. The flight simulator might be cool. But again, it's probably going to be, the only cool things is like, I'd imagine for flight sim is like taking off and landing. Probably landing is the most fun.
Yeah.
Because taking off is like, okay, full speed ahead, and just take off.
Well, maybe there'll be turbulence and weather-related issues, hurricanes.
Yeah, that's true. Let's just ride through it. Hold on.
You just put it on autopilot. Going through the hurricane.
Yeah, I think turbulence occurs when there's pockets of less dense air due to hot air rising.
Right.
So hot air rises in like pockets. Actually, you know what I learned? Speaking of flying, gliding, like when they have those airplanes with no engines and they're just gliding.
Yeah.
Those things, they could go, like you think they fly it up and then they drop it off and then they just glide down, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that they're not just, that's not how it works? What they're doing is riding airwaves. So they could theoretically go forever. So on Earth, hot air rises.
Right.
So they're basically riding those, and it's constantly rising, and it comes up in kind of big clouds. I mean, you can't see it, but so they're riding those hot air waves.
Oh, okay. But so they can't like take off from.
No, they need help with the takeoff.
Oh, okay. But they can
because they're going so slow.
Right.
But
they can ride for.
They could theoretically ride, quote unquote, forever.
I guess that's probably what airplanes do to conserve fuel to a certain extent.
Yeah, maybe. The only difference is, I mean, I don't know how big the variants are, but I'd imagine these gliders can like go low and high and left and right,
okay.
whereas I don't think an airplane is going to be
right.
doing that to like ride waves, so to speak.
But I feel like
I
they
also
designed
don't
them
know.
to glide to conserve fuel.
Probably.
Because
I also don't know how the weight of it affects it, if it does at all. Like the fact that a commercial plane is so heavy, does that mean they can't ride the hot air waves? I have no idea. But just that idea was like, whoa, that's pretty awesome. So like you could just, and they say like near cliffs is like their sweet spots because there's a lot of air is hitting the cliff and like creating a high pressure airwave that they can just bounce off and just keep going.
That's interesting.
So yeah,
Just
I was like,
riding.
just keep riding the waves. That would be a cool thing to. I mean, if you could make that into a public transportation method somehow, I don't know.
I don't know if people would trust.
I'm sure they
that.
would have tried that by now.
Although maybe like if it's a, I don't know, between two mountains or something, sort of thing where they can't get an airplane or, they can get an airplane.
Oh, if you wanted to fly from one mountain to another?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. But yeah, I never realized the science behind gliding. I just assume they just come down and that's it. Let's see, we're at 51 minutes. Well, we do owe these people a little more time. I think we started like 2-3 minutes later due to technical difficulties. Does it have a timestamp? 4:05. Okay. Let's see here.
Parents are coming back. Anika will hopefully be back.
Yeah, end of the month sometime.
So then not next week, right?
I don't know. Is it July?
No, it's the following week, I think. Because
it's the 14th. Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, probably in 10 days, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a little longer, 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm just waiting on these interviews, and just when you sit down and you're like, "So, tell me about yourself." Well, I was born in
19.
No, I think I've worked out I got my quick thing.
Your pitch.
My quick pitch
Elevator
is, I used to be in operations for a server manufacturer, ZT Systems. They sell servers to the big cloud services companies that you would that you probably use and that you would suspect. I was in operations there, and I was the liaison between the customers and our internal teams. I helped automate a lot of the business processes there, having to do with like generating and manipulating reports. And from there, I decided to pivot to software development. So after leaving my job, I spent a year understanding how the cloud services systems worked and how I can implement them into building applications. And that's where I am now. And that's my 30-second introduction to who this guy is. Do you get a general picture of who this guy is? Generally.
Yeah.
We'll get into details after that, but
yeah. You gained interest in software related
after
things.
Automating the business processes.
Okay.
That's where the passion or inspiration comes from to get into software.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
then
what projects would you
reference? Are you talking about? So I mean, I really only have 2 projects. Well, I have 3 actually. Mm-hmm. Well, one is, just generally is making Excel macros at my previous job. Mm-hmm. I don't have any proof of that I could show you, but so that's one of them. Is that what you're talking about referencing? Or are you talking about the ones that I actually worked on?
Like any
project.
project.
Any projects, yeah. I probably reference my chat application since I have that documented. Mm-hmm. I would explain how I use CloudFormation, which is a infrastructure as code service. Mm-hmm. to spin up technology stacks that I need. So in this example, I have 2 stacks, as I mentioned previously, the authentication and chat.
Mm-hmm.
So I make 2 different templates, and then I can use those templates to spin up the stack of resources that I use. And then I'd probably go into detail about what tech is in each one of those stacks, and just explain, and explain how that allows for a easier workflow. Because if I had another team that wanted to develop some features and they need the stack to build off of, I could say, here's the template, go spin up your own stack with the same resources, and then you can go play around with it. And that also drives the motivation as to why I decided to focus on developing on these cloud services as opposed to like building your own from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it does so much heavy lifting for you. And I think that's going to be the future of software development in general. I think the guys who are making stuff from scratch are going to be working on very niche, specific things, whereas the majority of app development will shift towards these
servers,
cloud, these microservices, as you would call them. So that's why I decided to focus on that.
What if it's a gaming related thing? Would you bring up Pally? Or
yeah, so even if it wasn't a game related, that would be my second project that I'd mention. I'd say I don't have any documentation of it, but I worked with FFmpeg, which is like a video audio transcoding tool. So what I would do is the app was it would save replays of gaming streams, live gaming streams. So you would stream to my server, and then on a mobile phone, click the button. It would save the last 30 seconds of whatever you were streaming, and then it would upload it to a website, and then you could see the clip. That was actually a pretty good app, even though it was like glitchy as hell.
Yeah.
I remember the feeling of like clicking the button and seeing it come up on the website. I'm like, whoa, that's cool. Oh, but I remember the code. Like if I even had the code, it was, for someone who's never programmed in C#, it was not bad, but like I would do things like, so like if you wanted to check for a change in code, like do this thing when this event happens. You use listeners. All kind of software development kits or languages have a type of listener, but what I did, for whatever reason, I couldn't figure out how to get the listener to work, is I would do a loop. A loop is another way to do things, but you don't infinitely loop. Like I was infinitely looping, and then like when a variable changed, that would be like when the change happens that I want to do something else with, then it would kick it off again. But like having an infinite loop to check for that is like not good. So I just remember that. I'm like, oh Jesus, if I had to look back at that code. But yeah, I'll just be ready for those interviews, and I imagine the talking part will be easy for me anyway. I guess the difficult part might be is if they make me do whiteboard stuff, which I was talking to Ajit about, and he was like, yeah, you should definitely like practice some stuff. And then I agree with that, but I probably won't practice. Just because I want to come at it as I'm not selling you a guy who knows how to program in JavaScript or this language. I'm a technologist, and I know how to implement ideas. Yes, that's a software developer, but that's the angle I'm selling. So I'm going to try that and see how it works. Because I think you're going to get you're going to buy a better resource. If I'm a resource that you, the employer, are buying, you don't want the guy who just knows how to program really well in JavaScript. You want the guy who at first understands the technology we're trying to implement and what features we're trying to implement, and then you have to go implement it and you have to learn. But like that learning stuff, you just Google everything basically. And I mean, obviously you want someone who is not learning all the languages fresh, because that means you're going to be slower at implementing. But yeah. So if they whiteboard challenge me, I'm going to attempt it just like I did when Ajit gave me a challenge, and I'll just walk it through and see how it goes.
Interesting.
That's the product I sell. We're at an hour, which is, well, it's technically 5 minutes before the hour, but 55 minutes is not bad. Do you have anything you wanted to talk about or add?
Well, I will plug in my coffee shop. I already have the name, which is the most important.
And what is the name?
Port Santos. It's
Port Santos.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's based off of the port of Santos, which is a port in Brazil that now is mostly freight for like machinery and stuff. But like in the 1800s, or I don't know, previously, it used to be the main, I think actually still is, the main export and import location of coffee beans.
Interesting.
So I think we're just going to play off that.
Pretty clever.
Yeah.
Pretty clever. And how will you be implementing your web
related
resources?
Shopify.
Shopify.
I'll be spending $30 a month for my
What is Shopify?
It's
an app that allows you to host your own shopping cart.
Yeah, and they also allow you to do like if you know HTML and can code,
do your own coding
as well, which is good.
Gotcha.
Because I'll definitely need that to put in, the Facebook pixels and all the ad pixels and revenue tracking. But it just makes it's like a simplified web builder.
Gotcha.
For e-commerce.
So you already locked in the domain?
I've not.
So hurry up, man. All these listeners are going to steal it. They're going to steal the .com. They're going to steal the .net. I got mine's a .xyz. I'm changing the game. That's the new .com in the future.
.xyz.
Yeah, the first popular company to do it was actually Google. So you know how their parent company is Alphabet?
Yeah.
So that website the domain is like abc.xyz. But so XYZ is just a domain to a domain to expand the pool, the available pool. So
interesting.
But yeah, if you can get the .com, by all means do it. I couldn't get dinker.com. I got dinker.xyz.
I'll try. Maybe I'll play on words or something. Like you can manipulate it, because I'm sure Port Santos maybe will be taken.
Yeah, that's true.
But
all right, should we hang up?
All
right. Thanks all for tuning in, and until next time, toodaloo.
See ya.